You unlock this video of the key of boredom. Inside it is another dimension. A dimension of love, a dimension of tolerance, a dimension of sweaty men in fursuits feeling DeviantArt up with their inflation fetishes. You're moving swiftly into a land of both friendship and magic. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Sparkle Zone. Friendship is Magic, a show that successfully combines the sweetness and friendliness of its previous generations with the good writing and fun characters that children's animation deserves. So, how do we screw it up? As the show quickly became an icon of internet culture, it also quickly gained fan work that wasn't exactly suitable for the target audience. But since the days of children being able to safely look at My Little Pony stories on the internet are long gone, let's just beat at the dead horse and count down the top 5 My Little Pony creepypastas. Beat at the dead horse, you get it? Because... Number 5. This story says that the characters are all real-life girls who died in 1989. The inspiration for Fluttershy committed suicide, Rarity's real-life counterpart had her neck snapped in a car accident, Rainbow Dash's had a heart condition worsened by steroids and died in hospital, Applejack's fell into a wood chipper, as you do, and naturally Pinkie Pie had mental conditions which caused her to jump off a building after believing she could fly because a voice in her head told her she could. I'm not too sure how anyone would have known what the voice in her head said, but what do I know? And finally, Twilight Sparkle hung herself after failing an exam. Like almost every cartoon conspiracy, it's very silly and has a lot of flaws, but it's always fun to speculate. This looks like a generic platform game, but it's full of jump scares and unsettling images. Though a game unlike the other entries on this list, there is a storyline throughout it. As the series progresses, the horror gets more psychological and takes the form of an almost real-life haunted game creepypasta. I think it's pretty great because you can't exit it, so it's like being forced into an actual horror story.
Twilight! Let me chase you!
Probably the most popular horror story regarding talking horses. Trust me, it's a bigger genre than it sounds. This story features Pinkie Pie drugging and murdering her friend Rainbow Dash by extracting her organs and bodily fluids to produce a new batch of cupcakes. The story explains that Pinkie's previous batches all featured grounded body parts of other characters, including Gilda, whom Pinkie directly fed to Dash, explaining why she never appeared again in the show. The author actually writes Pinkie Pie's character really well to how it is in the show. A lot of people find this really unsettling, but I think it's kind of funny. So I think it's safe to say I'm a big fan of killers who tell one-liners. Oh god, I'm wearing a fedora in a video about My Little Pony! Now I'll never get the mental image of Freddy Krueger tipping his fedora to Nancy out of my head.
I grow tired of my own flesh.
Like Cupcakes, this story is considered one of the big 3 in My Little Pony fanfictions. The other being My Little Dashie, which I don't like to talk about anymore. In November 2012, I recorded a narration of My Little Dashie, 4 hours long. 3.5 of which was me crying my eyes out. So obviously that story's a bit of a tearjerker. Well, that or I'm overly sensitive. I mean, I did cry at the Lego movie. But it's a sad movie! Rainbow Factory is a story about Scootaloo failing flight school and is taken to a factory along with other failures deemed worthless. A masked pony explains that when Luna was banished 1,000 years before, and Celestia had to take on raising the moon as well as the sun, she left the creation of rainbows to the Pegasi. They soon found a way to do so by harvesting ponies and extracting the chemical inside of them, which creates rainbows. The graduation tests therefore serve the sole purpose of ridding Clouseau of the weak while supplying rainbows. The masked pony turns out to be Rainbow Dash, who then kills Scootaloo, the filly who idolized her. But it's not all bad, there's punch and cookies by the door.
In the darkness, some pony coughed.
This story is set in a post-apocalyptic Equestria. There's a zombie-esque virus that is spread by a cough, one that is the only sign of warning. And the main 6 are in a pitch-black room when somebody coughs. Since no magic can cure the infection, the carrier has to die. Fluttershy reveals it was her who coughs, so the group decide that Rainbow Dash will be the one who kills her, considering she's her best friend and wouldn't trust anyone else to do as painless as possible. Rainbow Dash apologizes before Fluttershy requests her to get someone to look after her animals once the outbreak is over. Twilight cuts the light that's coming from her magic horn so that nobody has to see the gruesome kick to Fluttershy's skull. Rainbow Dash feels the warm droplets of her friend's blood splatter across her flank as she continues to kick. She continues to kick to silence the agonizing moans of pain coming from her half-crushed friend's face. On the 4th kick, they all hear a sickening crunch, revealing Fluttershy's skull to be completely crushed and her brain to be smushed into an almost liquidy substance. Rainbow Dash curls up on the floor, her friend's blood beginning to clot in her hair as she wonders if her hoops will always bear the red residue of her deed. And once again, the room was filled with silence. followed by a cough, revealing that Fluttershy wasn't actually the one infected and she asked herself to be killed to prevent her from seeing a friend die. And while she did so, the cougher remained silent and let her be killed. I really like this story because of the mystery that continues throughout it. Very little is known about this situation or even the characters because it relies on the reader drawing their own judgment, which beckons the unknown, one of horror's most powerful elements. Join me next time when I ruin an even better children's franchise! And if you have any twisted My Little Pony creepypastas, be sure to let me know in the comments. If one of you says Jeff the Killer vs Pinkie Pie, I swear to God.
In the Rainbow Factory, where your fears and horrors come true. In the Rainbow Factory, where not a single soul gets through.
I mean, ask anyone to tell you the saddest movies. They'll say Titanic, Shawshank Redemption, Tears of Endearment, 12 Years a Slave, the Lego Movie.